Welcome to Monali's live webinar on a Turo fleet owner's guide to growing your business and doing your taxes. I'm Farwa Jaffrey, your host today. With me on the panel today are Nazir Askari. Nazir is Monali's client for Monali's specialist bookkeeping service for Turo hosts and car rental businesses. Nazir manages an impressive fleet of 40 cars on Turo, along with a full-time technology job. Nazir will be sharing with us today his insights as a Turo business owner, the good, the bad, and the ugly of running a Turo business. Hello, Nazir. Good to have you with us today.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Also on the panel are Wajiha Danish, the Director Accounting at Monali, and On Kazmi, the tax expert at Monali. So let's get started. My first question to you, Nazir, today is, when did you start your Turo business and how did you manage your Turo business alongside a full-time job?
With a lot of help from a lot of folks, so it's not easy. I have pretty much just a figurehead right now. It's just my name. I have a team that manages the fleet on the ground. I have you guys to manage the books, and I have On's team to manage the tax part of it. I
Fantastic.
started it last year, January, on a very slow scale, just to see the market
Mhm,
for the first 3 months, Q1, and then
mhm.
from Q onward, I had a full-fledged launched, and now operating a fleet of 40 plus cars.
Fantastic. So what would you say are the challenges that a Turo host would face as they grow from, say, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20 cars? I mean, how does the progression of the number of vehicles you manage increase the problems or complicates the management of your business?
Okay, so it's a loaded question. So it's had too many answers. From my end, it's all the answers are going to be purely opinion based, because
Hmm.
you talk to Toro host, everybody goes through a different market, different experiences, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, Me being a power host, the one fundamental thing that I've noticed is, uh, do not go after short game. When I
Hmm.
say that is, you will find a lot of hosts that will try to go find the least expensive car that they can, the oldest car that they can, with the mileage limit that they can.
Hmm.
Uh, Believe you me, after experience, you will notice that. And I spent almost 22 years in car business, so I've
Okay.
dealerships in the past. So that can quickly show you return, but
Hmm.
that's not a long-term strategy. Why?
True.
Because uh, within 6 months you'll be replacing an engine. Within 3 months you'll
Hmm.
be replacing
Hmm.
a transmission. Now the airbag module goes out. Now the steering wheel module goes out. I mean, there are so many chips in these cars. Older the car is, the more trouble you will get. And
Absolutely.
you can put yourself into a situation where you have 5 or 6 cars uh, that you bought and spent 10, 20, 30, $40,000 to getting him, but they're not
Hmm.
making, they will make you quick bucks for the first few months, but then they will dry out. Why? Because now they're parked and you need to spend $3, $4,000 to fix them. If you do the additive math over a year,
Hmm.
you would have been better off buying a certified pre-owned, a 23 to 4 year old car that does have very low miles on it, because of course the
Hmm.
miles are going to put a lot more miles on the car. So
True.
that's one thing that I always want to advise people to focus on. With Toro, you will be, with a good car, you will average about $800 to $900 a month. That's a
Okay.
average number. Can it be higher? Sure. Can it be
Hmm.
lower? Of course it can. But
Hmm.
you have to consider a benchmark, right? Like, what's my baseline? Your baseline is
Hmm.
from $800 to $900. So
Okay.
if I can spend $400 on car payment, insurance, and so on and so forth, I'm that's my investment every month in that car, right? I
True.
didn't get the full money. I'm financing it through the business, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's my monthly investment. How much
Hmm.
money? What's my return on that investment? Another $400 if I made 800 then,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you
Right.
have to look at it from that microeconomic perspective. Now,
Hmm.
always have a long-term strategy. Why? Because without that strategy, you will not see the gain. It's a volume business. It's not one,
Hmm.
4 or 5 cars. It's a lot of cars, a lot more money, and the more volume you have is more income you will see coming, or more revenue you will see coming in.
Absolutely.
And then percentage of their revenue will be your profit. So revenue grows with volume, so does your profit. So it's kind of, I try to mix a lot of information in answering one question, but I can teach a whole class and what's needed and
No,
what
I'm sure your experience in the automobile industry, as you said, of 22 years, and your understanding of the financial side of the business must really be helpful. And that's helped you grow so quickly and made it probably easier to manage it, because financial management done right is the key to business growth and business survival. If you don't look at that side and focus on maybe some other aspects, going too quickly but not managing your finances, pretty soon you will be in a position where you will run out of cash, or a lot of businesses do close down because they're not managing their finances well. So before Monali, how were you managing your business finances, and what were the challenges that you were facing?
Oh, my wife was managing them for me.
And then she must have been doing it right.
That's your answer. No, she was. So we were the kind of tag teaming it. We from the get go, always had somebody helping me out, right? Because it's not humanly possible to manage 40+ car fleet constantly
Hmm.
in and out of service, uh,
True.
moving them to body shops, to service centers, and car washes, and detailing them is just not. It's not a one man job. So
Definitely. It's more than a full-time job.
so in the beginning, it was my investment that I made was in people. I try to find the best possible scenario where I can have a person that can take ownership of the situation. And I was very lucky. I found a couple of them. Now I'm on my third, and they're if you train them right, they help you from the functional side. Financing side, I got to a point where uh, being in IT, and so I code a lot. So I started scripting a lot of things myself. Sitting idly, I'll just start script few things, write a few lines,
Wow.
and trying to get my results the way I want them. But it has to be a scalable solution, right?
Hmm.
It has to be a solution that can do the things for you, right? For example, before I know it, I had a stack of almost 300 receipts that I now have to sit there and figure out which one goes to what car, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I have good memory, but trust me, it's answering questions. Okay, where does this money go? 6 months out. It's not easy. You have to go
True.
through your notes. You have to go stifle through paper. So having a proper finance team or an accounting team that can watch your back and also
Hmm.
be accountable, right? For example, if I'm spending, just them by jokingly as telling me, "Hey, you're eating a lot of Chinese food lately," that kind of the light bulb goes on, and you're like, yeah, man, I've spent almost $300 eating Chinese food last month. So it's kind of this is something, as a business owner, you need to invest in, you need to focus in. Without this,
Absolutely.
you're fighting
Absolutely.
you're chasing a moving target, and you will never be able to catch up. It's you will not know what you need to stop, and you
Hmm.
will not know where to go spend.
100%. I agree. I
That is
agree.
where Manali and team. I'm happy with you guys. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you for that vote of confidence. Wajiha, my next question is for you. What inspired you and your team to enter this niche of accounting for car rental businesses?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, stop.
So I would say that
Speak. I can't hear you.
um, now.
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Better.
So I would say that Turo does a great job at reporting the revenues that you make through Turo. However, Turo does not track your expenses. And well, unlike Nazir, I just have one car on Turo, but that having it there made me realize that I do not know what I'm spending on it, because when it goes out for service, I don't. And I realized that if I'm having that challenge as with one car, it would only multiply for those that have that would have multiple cars. And when we started working with some of the Turo clients, we saw that this sentiment was throughout the board. And then our team worked to develop dashboards and reportings for Turo-based clients so that they're able to see their vehicle-wise profitability and they know where they're making the most money so they can make the right business decisions and invest in those vehicles instead of investing where they're not making as much return. Because resources are always limited and you want to invest them where you can get the most bang for your buck.
So it's good to know that you did your market research right. You actually entered into the business yourself to see what challenges a business owner would be facing. Do you want to talk about the salient features of your bookkeeping service for Turo hosts, and especially the mobile app, the technology platform that your team has created?
So one of the things that we're very proud of is that we are able to give you vehicle-wise visibility that I was just talking about. So you're not just looking at how the entire business did, but also how each vehicle is doing. And that way you can, like when you see 3 months of red on a certain vehicle, it's time to probably, unless there's reasons to keep that, it's time to like get rid of it and possibly not invest in the same vehicle again. So I would, and on the app platform, so this is one thing that and then we also help by keeping track of the receipts, like Nazir mentioned, that soon you would, with 40 cars, or you would soon have a stack of receipts that you cannot remember. So because we do it on a weekly basis, the memory is fresh. We ask questions where we don't already know, and we also attach receipts. And that way, the onus is not on the business owner to remember all of that information weeks and months down the lane. As for our portal, we have worked with the Turo hosts to understand what are those pieces of information that they rely on to get their business to make their business decisions. For example, we've learned that people want to know what their ROI is. We have learned that there's certain infographics that appeal to them more or give them more information in one glance. And we have with our development team, we have worked to have all of those onto the dashboard. So any clients that are coming in are able to benefit from all of that as well.
Brilliant. And Nazir, have you used this mobile application? How do you find it?
It has its quirks, but it's work in progress. But all in all, a good ad, because me, actually not me, but my team, out and about at a gas station. I mean, they quickly can take a picture, attach it to a car, right? That helps tremendously. How? Because you don't have these things running around all over the place. Even if they lose it, it's raining, receipts flying out of the window because somebody opened the window just to air the car out.
Absolutely.
They throw away receipt with other trash. That has happened also. So it's easy and quick. You just snap a picture, just like you will do with Concur, right? Concur. That was a
What do
big.
you feel? So sorry to interrupt. No, go ahead.
So there was a big thing with Concur also, where you can just add your receipts right then and there while traveling. Same thing here. It's an amazing feature. Just this feature sells the app for me. Apart from all the other nitty-gritties of having an ROI available right on my fingertips, be able to see the numbers and values right then and there, especially when I'm out and about shopping for a car, I can look for what model works, what doesn't. So it's very manageable.
Excellent. What benefit has it brought to you to get your bookkeeping done professionally rather than do it yourself or by your team? I know women make excellent financial managers, but that's my personal bias as well. But most businesses will try to save on bookkeeping costs. They'll say, why should I pay $200 or $500 for bookkeeping when I can keep track of things myself? What would you say to a business owner who's thinking along those lines?
So it's my decision will be a little bit more opinionated. Why? Because I already had a prior experience. I have uh, I have somebody who does accounting for me on other level.
Mm-hmm.
So then that kind of I already had the idea
Mm-hmm.
of the benefits of having an accountant at your back,
Right.
right? So, and I think I talked to Wajia about it also that hey, if I want to move my other services over to you guys, and so my it's a bias approach, but managing it yourself, yes, of course you can do it, but not knowing something is not the answer to the solution, right? So the things that you don't know, you will never know unless and until you ask somebody. And I would rather focus my energies in managing, running, and growing my business than have my head down in a balance sheet or trying to create a P&L,
True.
right?
True.
Do I want to do it? No. But can I do it? Sure. Give me a weekend. I'll figure something out. Balance sheet might not balance, right? I might not know where the numbers are coming from, or what number goes where. I'll
Mm-hmm.
have something. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not the solution you're looking for. You need
Mm-hmm.
to, when you're growing a business, every
Mm-hmm.
institution, financial institution, is going to ask for your balance sheet or P&L, right? And it just, if nothing else, if you say hey, this accounting firm did this P&L for me with their name on it, that boost value. Instead of you going to
Mm-hmm.
the, yeah, I created this P&L in an Excel sheet, can I email it to you? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't buy much, right? Bank,
Mm-hmm.
financial institutions, lending institutions, floor plan institutions, all of them will put a lot more weight on a document that's coming from an accounting firm, which is already vetted and been verified in couple of different ways, right? Where the balance sheet actually does balance, where
True.
your P&L actually does show a number, not the
Mm-hmm.
number, but even if it's loss, the institutions don't care about a loss. Loss does not mean that you're not making money. Loss
Mm-hmm.
just means that you're not managing your money right, right? So it's a my I have a biased opinion about it. So you some people might think that since I already knew how the accounting thing is beneficial, that's why I jumped into it. Trust me
Mm-hmm.
when I tell you, as a business owner, you want to have an accountant. Any company, no matter how big or small they have two people. They have a CPA, which is a controller, and they have a CFO, which is a financial officer. Why? They can do without them. They pay
Mm-hmm.
$1 million to these guys in some instances. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're needed. They're integral part of the organization to make sure the organization is profitable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now with the April 15th deadline for taxes coming, the Turo hosts that we speak to and our clients, they're all, asking questions about taxes. So now we'll move to on and ask them tax related questions. I think now he's been sitting there quietly for a very long time, probably feeling very lonely. On my question to you is, what is the most efficient, tax efficient business structure for a Turo business?
Uh, that actually depends. Again, I have to say that it is totally dependent on your income and the level of investment you are going for.
Mm-hmm.
For different levels, the different structure could be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Even in some cases, although C Corp is considered as a double taxation system, but if you are a very big organization and you are seeking some investment from multiple shareholders, so C Corp could be beneficial for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but for those who are doing an average profit and doing something actively participating in the business, they should actually register an LLC and convert it to S
Mm-hmm.
Corp, because you actually save self-employment tax on the specific amount of profit, and you only pay the self-employment tax on the amount of wages you pay to yourself.
Okay. Vajira, my question to you is, what is the importance of having a separate bank account for your Turo business? Because we come across a lot of our clients whose personal and business expenses are all mixed up in the same account, and it does create challenges as their business grows and for their bookkeeping. What would you say to people who are starting their Turo business and why would you recommend having a separate business account?
The key reason for having a separate business account would be so that you don't intermingle your personal transactions with the business, because it will take, to Nazir's point earlier, at the end of, like several weeks later, it will be a nightmare and a very time consuming task to weed out what's personal and what's business to put into your taxes, because at the end of the year, like most people, most small to medium businesses, their biggest reason to do their books is for taxes. And for taxes, when you have to have that bifurcation, when you want to prepare those financials, it will cost you a lot of time. So I definitely recommend having a separate business account, so that everything that comes through it is completely business related. Yeah.
Thank you. On my next question is for you. A question that we come across very frequently is, how do I report my Turo income on my taxes? Will it be business income or rental income?
Again, it actually depends on your material participation. So if you are actively participating in the management of cars, and you are doing all of the jobs, and you are materially involved in the business, then it will be considered as an active income. So for active income, as I mentioned earlier, when you asked me about the entity structure, so when you are earning an active income and you are holding an LLC, you will be charged self-employment tax on it too. But if you are not involved materially in it, then it will be considered as a passive income, although it is a rental income. But in both cases, it will be considered active or passive according to your participation level. So you must be able to assess your participation level in your business. So we do ask the question while getting the organizer field that were you materially participating in the business or not.
Okay. Do you come across, I think we do come across actually a lot of clients who will come for filing taxes but have not had a bookkeeper throughout the year. So they do not have a P&L or a balance sheet, but they do have some idea of their expenses or an estimate. How does that impact, and what is the importance of good bookkeeping for tax savings, or benefiting from tax deductibles?
Yeah, one of the best thing I recommend to many people, that every penny you spend on bookkeeping returns you 20 times, and one part is returned by the taxes too, because if more organized books you have, more deductions we can assess that we can take in the taxes, and we can reduce your taxes. Specifically when it comes to the Turo, the depreciation is something that is very critical part in the Turo, where all the expenses can be considered on the mileage basis, and the other ways you can take the actual basis. And that comes when you started the business. You must elect, either you will be taking the actual business expenses, or you will be going for the mileage expenses. So we do compare it at the first time when we are filing the taxes, that what would be more beneficial for the taxpayer who is having a Turo or any other vehicle expenses, or vehicle business, where it is relevant to vehicles.
Okay.
So IRS has actually the 67 cents rate per mileage. So you multiply that and check if the actual expenses are less than that or more than that. So this is how we do check the things.
Great.
Yeah.
Vajiha, what records is a Turo business owner required to maintain for tax purposes, and how can Mondelez help in that?
So if you don't get audited or a question, then everything in your books is good. However, if you do get an audit or a query from IRS, then having all those records saves you a bunch of time and running around, and actually gives you comfort that everything that you have reported has backup. How does Mondelez help? as we discussed earlier on this call, that Monolith app in itself, you can take a picture, have that receipt right attached to it. So Monolith can help you by not having to keep folders and folders. Everything is, everything is properly recorded into your accounting software, and your accountants can see all the detail. And like to On's point, they're able to assess and make sure that you get the maximum deductions, and you don't have to spend hours trying to think, oh, what was this about? Which car was this? Because if you're on top of it and taking pictures and attaching it on the go, you never have to worry about that again.
Brilliant. On my next question is for you, that for a Turo business, which expenses are tax deductible?
Almost all expenses that are relevant to your vehicles are obviously tax deductible until you are utilizing the vehicle for personal and business use. Both you are giving it on Turo, and sometimes you are driving it at personal level. So you must maintain a record of mileage for the personal. You must have your odometer recordings available. So you can segregate the expenses spent while you were driving on personal and while you were driving for business.
Okay.
So almost all expenses relevant to your vehicle for likely bigger ones, likely if you are managing the listing the things and everything, and you have a small place of office available at home, then you can also claim the home office. And furthermore, you can actually deduct any expenses you are incurring to run your business, including your telephone, your internet.
Excellent. My last question for you on is, what implication does it have on taxes if the car I have on Turo, I use it personally as well?
That's actually, I answered it earlier, but let me explain that. Basically, it is something we need to segregate the personal portion of usage and the business portion of usage. So if I'm having driving a vehicle 400 miles for my personal and 600 miles for business, then I will be actually for taking the 40% expenses on the personal side, and 60% will be deductible on business side. So this is the only tax implication while I'm utilizing the car for personal and business both.
Thank you, On. To
And
close off, my last question is for you, Nazir. Sorry, were you saying something?
yeah, I was just gonna add, in this case, if you are just giving the car on part-time basis, you will not be considered as materially participating in the business.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, On. My last question for you is, Nazir, what advice would you have for somebody who's just starting a Turo business? And would you recommend Monthly Accounting Services to your friends and family?
Yes, definitely. And come talk to me or call me. I'll be glad to guide you in any way, shape, or form I can. In the last year, I heard about Toro for so long, and finally started something. So it's I have collected over 5 years just researching.
Okay.
I opened up my LLC back for Toro, I think 22 or 2021. But all this time, I just kept researching and finding out what is this whole thing about. And finally, last year started. So I do have a lot of research. I do have a lot of operational side of the answers.
Brilliant.
And I still require Manili's help. So yes, of course, I will let everybody know. I even tell people today, whenever I see them and they're in the Toro host community, hey, go get yourself an accounting firm. I know one if you want to talk to them.
Thank you very much, Nazir, for your time today and for all your amazing insights and sharing your experience with us. Thank you, On. Thank you, Wajiha. That's a wrap from us today. Good night and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.